Hook it up.
Hello, everybody. This is our Saturday Bahamas flight continuing. I know it's been a few weeks. The time zones might have messed up one or two of the participants that we had planned on because I didn't take into account the DST when I posted what time we were starting. So we'll see. Blues said he was going to join us, Dusty, but I had it posted at 1900 instead of 1800, and he may actually pay attention to what time that actually means. So, but anyway. Good to go. I'm sitting on the ramp, on the end of the runway. I'll wait for you, Dusty, to spawn in.
Okay, yeah, I've got the sim up. I'm just getting your route loaded into
Okay.
thingamajig.
It's nice weather. It's like probably like 40% cloud cover, so we got some nice sky
Good.
texture today. Do a few outside views for those watching, so they can see what the weather looks like.
Wait, you're gonna look at the outside of your plane?
Yeah, I do it on occasion.
Yeah, Mike Yankee Bravo Golf.
Yep,
Great Harbor K.
it's where we landed last time.
What are you flying?
182. I'm in a blue one this time, though. Changed my paint job up. I assume you'll be in your usual.
Yeah, probably.
And it's runway 13 for takeoff if you're going to spawn on the runway. I'll pull ahead a little because I'm kind of right at the end. This plane likes to pull to the right a little bit when it's on the ground. Yeah, that performance issue was really bad. Like I couldn't hardly play the game for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see you up and running. So, did you get it resolved, or what happened?
They patched it. This was an Asobo problem.
They patched it earlier. Is that the most recent
That
patch?
patch yesterday is the one that fixed it.
Got it.
They acknowledged it only after the community went absolutely bonkers about it.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't announce anything to do. Like they were like radio silence on it until, hey, there's going to be a patch tomorrow.
Interesting.
But every community I'm in that does flying was just like people were just flipping out over it. It wasn't me, you know. It was
Yeah, I knew it wasn't just you because it was a fairly widespread talk on Reddit and whatnot.
yeah, and it literally was a game engine issue. So it was some coding they had that was funky, and it had to do with when it transitioned from one zone to another or something like that. But I could load the same flight twice, and one time I'd load in and before even startup, it would be at like 6 frames a second. I'd exit the sim completely, relaunch, go back in, and it would be fine. And then somewhere during my flight, there was a 50-50 chance that somewhere during my flight it would just suddenly drop, the bottom would fall out of the frame rate. I just saw you spawn. Looks like you in
Yep.
spot one.
Spot two.
Spot two, okay. You don't need this whole runway, so you can just turn around. Just let me know when you're ready to go. And just go out right out in front of me. Heck, I probably only need half this runway. This plane gets off the ground really quick. I do like that that one you use has... Oh, I guess this does have wing strobes too. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize I
Ready
had
to go.
wing strobes.
I'm ready to roll.
All right. Throttling up. I'm only gonna go. I'm gonna go to 1500, I think, for this, at least for now. Bank a little to the right. I'm gonna go to about a 150 from here. Just pretty much go right down toward the tip of the, not the tippy tip of the island, but excuse me. I need to have the Twitch up in case somebody speaks to me, so I can see it.
Are you going right now?
There we go. Oh, Venrith. Hey, Venrith. Oh, sorry. I did my usual, which is over throttling and taking right off
I
like a
figured.
rocket.
Were you doing like 140, 150, 160?
I was at about 145. I'm coming
I'm
back down. Coming back down now.
we're just
Around,
coming up to 110 knots.
yeah, I'll get to around probably around 120. Is that okay? Can you catch up then, or
Level
do I need to slow down a little first?
120 is going to take me a while to catch up.
I'll come down to around 110.
I thought about doing the Mooney, but I'm just not very familiar with it.
I have the Mooney, and I have literally never flown it.
At least you would see me as a Mooney.
Right. Well, I see you. I see you. I just don't see your color. That's all.
Yeah.
It did the whatever that blue and white stupid texture they did for the flight
Oh,
sim.
the
No, the
winter one.
flight sim one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it came out in the winter and it's
Mm.
like white and frosty blue, so
It's
I
like grotesque, actually.
could be worse.
I just don't really need. I wouldn't want to fly around in a plane emblazoned with flight simulator on it. You know, that's all. So I've been looking at the PA-28 that just came out, the Aero 3. But I've had. I don't know. It's not the type of plane I normally fly, so I'm a little reluctant to do it.
Uh,
And it's expensive. It's over $50.
oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like the 182 is 29 bucks, and that's a little easier for me to stomach for a plane. I don't know if I'm going to use it. You know. Whereas the 182, I knew I would use the crap out of it, so it didn't bother me to spend $30 on it. So this is Hoffman's K that we're coming up on. And we'll kind of fly right down. I don't know if you loaded my flight plan, but we'll kind of fly right down over it.
Yeah, I did load your flight plan,
Okay.
not just the route.
Are you catching up, or do I need to let up a little more?
I'm not exactly sure how far you are.
I'm just about over the tip of that set of islands.
Okay. Well, I got you in sight, so you're not far.
Oh yeah, I can see them. I can make out the shape of your plane when I do a reverse view. So I just dropped down to 100. So
I'm about 125.
okay, well I'll come back up then because otherwise you'll go by me in about 3 seconds. The time estimate was an hour 14, but that was calculated based on me doing 130 knots. So and that doesn't take into account landings or any of our other stuff. So all right,
You following the chain of islands?
yeah, I'm pretty much following the line that I plotted. So
Okay,
which should go down the chain of islands for the most part.
got it.
I'm
You're
getting a
still
little bit of
lining up.
crosswind tossing me around here.
I was wondering if I still had the 215 horsepower version because I'm maxed throttle and level flight, and I'm only hitting 120,
You're
125s.
usually faster than that.
Well, I should fairly easily hit 130, 140.
Huh.
But I mean, it says Bush League Legends Special Edition on the
Yeah,
cockpit,
but I
so
wonder if after the update, if there's something they have to update.
right.
Look at the water textures off to our left and right, though.
Ooh, that looks nice.
Isn't it? Oh,
Yeah, it's not just water. It is
they've got the underwater
photogrammetry.
texturing in. Yeah, it's so pretty. And I have ships, so I can see some boats out there too. I downloaded a ship pack that gives a variety of ships, so that's kind of nice. I don't see the same yachts everywhere. I
That's
was off
cool.
the coast of Florida yesterday, and there were a couple of tall ships out there.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's so nice down there. God, I'd like to just be right down there on one of them beaches with a lawn chair and a book right now.
A few weekends ago, I spent the weekend down in Santa Cruz
Okay.
here in California. It
Yep.
was so nice. It was a
Yeah.
bit chilly still, being, what was it, late February.
So the
But
weekend of April 10th and 11th, I won't be flying because we're going to be down by Galveston. We're Airbnb-ing a little cabin on the beach, like a little cottage beachfront.
yeah, I won't.
Not in Galveston. It's actually in the Houston Bay, and then we're going to also go to the Space Center down there. So.
Yeah, so that's your trip. And I'll be in Vegas
Oh, that's the weekend.
that
Yeah,
weekend.
because you were away that weekend too. That's right. I'm interested to know how Vegas is under these conditions.
Well, gonna find out.
Yep.
We're actually neither of us are interested in the strip or the casinos or anything. We're actually
Oh,
going to
okay.
go to Red Rock.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
uh, Red Rock, it's a national park or something.
Yep.
So should be some nice driving around and some hiking. And we're going to drive over to Sedona.
I was just gonna say the prettiest place, probably the prettiest place I've ever been on Earth is Sedona. I
Well,
also I also love the what is it, Painted Desert and Petrified Forest, which is a few hours east of there.
so we're spending the night in Sedona, and the plan was to take a flight tour of Sedona because I really wanted to. If we're going to go to Sedona, want to take off and land there.
Yeah,
The only problem is that although they're still doing helicopter tours, their fixed wing planes are grounded because they can't get their annual check rides
because
from
of
the
COVID.
FAA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sucks.
that's a bummer. I mean, like literally, I checked one week and they had the air tours, and I checked the next week to book it, and they were all gone.
because
And
they're
so I messaged them and I
yeah,
said, I swear I saw like fixed wing air tours. I'm like, yeah, we had to pull them off the site because our none of our pilots, all our pilots are outdated for their check rides.
that's a bummer.
But they do have helicopter tours. But I just I don't know if I want to get in a helicopter. It's not the
I'm
same.
not a fan of helicopters. I've never been in one, and I look at them and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I mean,
It's
I
not
haven't.
that I it's not that I don't trust them or anything. It's just that it's a different experience.
Yeah, it is. And I knew somebody who did a helicopter tour of Vegas, and they said it was great. And I'm like, yeah, I could see it there, But and I have a friend of mine whose dad used to be a DEA. Well, he was Army Ranger and then DEA, but he was a helicopter pilot for them. And and she was like, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's just as safe. It's just as stable." I'm like, I understand that. Rationally, I look at it and I go, "Yes, I know that it's no problem,
Mhm.
But something in my little lizard brain says, no, I don't like that. So we're coming up on a landing that I forgot about. So I'm gonna
Oh yeah, I see.
start dropping down. This
It
is
looks like
little whale K, and I would say we want to go for runway 7, so we want to bank a little to the right here.
I have runway 8,
Well,
8 and two
little
six.
nav map shows 7.
Well, yeah, because you have that other thing going on.
Oh, I have added scenery, so that may be why. I have um I have the Bahamas scenery pack, so that may have changed it. Well, that runway anyway. Runway
Yeah,
7/8.
drop down and another left downwind.
Yep.
Might have to extend my downwind to lose airspeed.
Because you don't have as much power.
No, because I was at 1,500 feet, just
Oh,
coming up to the.
yeah, I'm down to 600 now, so trying to get eyeballs on this runway.
I got it in sight.
Yeah, I think I have it now. Well, I have this big pillar right in the way.
Ah, yes.
Some little
It's
yacht zipping
overshooting.
around. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I got the runway. 400 feet. Yeah, so I was last at Space Center Houston. Oh, you're right in front of me. Holy shit! Like you're right in front of me.
I
Don't stop too quick when you hit that runway, buddy,
see a
or we're gonna get over
bit of a
friendly.
cross, bit of a crosswind here.
Oh, that was a Perry landing for sure. Oh no, 73 feet per minute. I guess it wasn't. I'm on my brakes. I'm on my brakes. Ah, crash right through you. There was nowhere for you to get out of my way.
Not a very big airstrip.
Nope. Matter of fact, I'm going to use a notch of flaps taken off. Just because. And that was on mine, it was 7. Oh, there's a little turnaround on the right up here. Not that I really need it with this plane. Oh, I'm going all the way up to the end anyway. This plane turns on a dime. All right, let me check my trim. Oh, you're coming right at me. Make sure I'm not going to trim myself to death like I do sometimes. Nope, we're good. Okay. Why you stopped?
I was looking at something else.
Oh, okay. Also on mine, you're like 5 feet above the ground hovering because the
Because
airport
your
scenery must
scenery.
change the elevation a little bit.
And the left crosswind.
Yeah, just trying to get some altitude before I do my turn.
And downwind. This other airstrip is real close.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know which runway to take. They both suck. You want to skip it and just go right over to Chubb?
Yeah, maybe I'll. Oh, it's right here. Either do a flyover or a touch and go.
I'm going to just do a flyover on it, I think. I'm just doing a little bit of circling up here because I like looking at the water.
Well, I'm probably going to have time for a full stop
Yeah, you probably are.
by the time you get over here.
Probably are. I mean, I can pour on the steam and go right by, so.
Yeah, you have the capability of catching up quite easily.
So do your thing. Even the next one after that's only 5 nautical miles. Venrith, I don't know which one which. If you're asking which plane I'm on, it's the Carenado 182T. If you're asking which PA-28 I was thinking about, I think it was the Just Flight one. It was the one in the marketplace because that's where I buy my planes. I know people say, oh, they don't update as quick or whatever, but I haven't had any problem with them, so that's where I do it.
Okay, enough of that.
I've lost sight of you. Are you? Oh, there you are. Okay.
I just, yeah, you must have, as soon as I touched the ground, right?
Well, I see your flashing lights still. I see you taking off.
Well, that was me doing a touch and go, a
Yep.
very one-wheeled, bouncy, downwind touch and go.
Been a few weeks, hasn't it?
Well, it was. I just rather than coming around in the pattern, I
Mm.
just went downwind.
Well, it was also a really bad crosswind there too. So you had a
Yeah,
15 knot, close to 15 knot crosswind there, I believe,
yeah, a tail quarterly.
which with your plane is not fun. So the other one
No,
the other
no,
one
no,
we
no.
should be able to circle and land and come right in almost perfectly on the
Yeah,
into the wind. So that'll be nice.
I'm just going to assume left pattern on all these.
I mean, that's kind of standard, so yeah.
But don't always assume, I mean, in real life,
No, yeah.
because
Oh, it looks like somebody's on the runway down there. I did post a few places for people to join if they wanted to. I just saw somebody landing down there.
uh, this one that I just took off from,
No, the one we're headed toward. I just saw somebody setting down.
I don't see anybody on the ground there.
Well, the lights disappear when they land, so it's hard to tell.
But does their name also disappear?
I don't have the name tags on. I forgot to turn them on before we started, and I'm not going to interrupt to do it. So,
So it must be AI traffic.
oh, it could be. That's right, because you have tags on, so you'd see them. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I have tags on and AI traffic off.
Right. I forgot you run
So,
without AI.
well, the only people I ever see are real sim pilots.
Right. Real air quotes.
Exactly. They're as real to me as they'll ever be because I don't know who they are or where they are.
This water here is so beautiful. Look at
It
that
is
ahead
nice.
of us. It's just so nice out there. Makes me wish I had a seaplane. I could go land in it. I
I
thought
have a
about doing I
seaplane.
thought about doing one of these in the what is it, the Icon, that little tiny one? But then I tried flying it one day and I was like, no. Just no.
No, it's not a very good plane.
No.
It's made for people. It's made for like boat owners, kind of like
Yeah.
weekend warriors.
Yeah.
It's not really made for serious pilots. Not that I'm a serious pilot. But that's just my impression.
Yeah, that was kind of the impression I got too. I watched a couple of videos of people flying it and I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's interesting, I guess is the way I would put it. All right, I'm at
The
1,000
whole
feet.
the whole interior is just kind of laid out simplistic, about as
Yeah,
simplistic as a car.
less so, even more so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like getting in a Tesla Model 3. There's like one screen and four things that you can touch. Oh, I've been
Well, and
having
all
this.
the gauges and stuff are so uh, oversimplified.
Yes.
What is going on with my engine? Just doesn't sound the same.
Do you want to pop out and check it while we're landed here?
No, I mean it's totally flyable. It's just something going on. I don't think that the X Cub, the Bush League Legends X Cub mod is working.
I'm going to be coming down a little hard. Let's put a notch of flaps in just to soften that a little. Do I see you parked either off this side?
Yeah, I'm by the fuel.
Okay. Speaking of fuel, did you top off when we started or?
No, I topped off here.
Okay. That was a little tough and a little short. I like literally landed right at the end of the runway.
Oh yeah.
Hey, yours shows is on the ground here, and I definitely have runway scenery because I have fences and stuff.
Well, that just means that your scenery elevation matches
Right.
the default elevation.
Now here's a quirkiness. I see a an Airbus right now that just did a go around over us. Landing it was going to land at this runway.
Oh,
and it can't. It's got to be AI traffic because you didn't see it. So,
yeah, it's probably like a smaller private jet,
and it's
and
just
it's
using a
somehow just
generic. Yeah,
using a generic jet.
because it was a huge thing.
What's really weird is if you join a large group flight, like from a fairly well known streamer or something,
Yeah.
and somebody will have like an F-15 or some other jet, and it puts it in as a generic jetliner. But then they're doing like rolls
Aerobatics.
and loops and
Yeah.
aerobatics and zooming around at 500 knots, doing crazy things in a
So
giant jetliner.
so with my scenery pack, there's a road that crosses this runway. It was I just drove by a stop sign.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I see where it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense because I mean in the default texture, I can see where the road
Yep.
goes across the runway.
Yep. Right here, just like right up here, a few feet up from
Uh-huh.
where we are. Yeah. I'm good to go. Go ahead. I can.
Okay.
I'll come in behind you. I don't remember what I thought. I looked up the horsepower on this plane. It's got really good power. And man, does she like to lift. Like I was up before I got to that fuel dump or the fuel filling station. I can take off with this almost as short a ground as you can. Landing, I still need a little more, but I think that's more me than the plane.
Yeah, it doesn't have it has the power, but it doesn't have the stall
Well, it's heavy.
capabilities.
It's a
Yeah,
heavier plane. But like I'm coming right up on top of you right now on this climb. I'll be passing off your left wing in just a second,
yeah,
and
I'm turning on the course.
starting my turn. Throttle back to a reasonable level, so I'm not running away once we get up there. I'm still climbing though. So the next one is Nassau, the main airport for the Bahamas. Linden Pindling International, MYNN. So
Since
that's
we're
one
doing the
where I wouldn't
water
expect.
crossing, we'll go ahead and get some more altitude.
Yeah, good point. Take it up to 35, 25 because of these clouds. I don't want to get into the clouds.
Yeah, this thing just does not have the power. I'm only doing 700 feet a minute,
Hmm.
and I'm topping out at like 90 knots.
And I'm doing 1,200 feet a minute at 125.
I should be doing like 1,500 feet a minute and be able to do at least 90 knots.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's using the default engines,
Must be.
not your souped up one. I don't even know where you are. You must be in the shadow
You're
behind me.
way past me. I'm
Yeah, but
doing 85 knots now.
I should still see you, and I don't. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're up about. I think you got up quicker than I did.
I'm at 2300.
That's right where I am. I was expecting you to be below me. I was looking below behind, and you were directly behind. I'm dropping speed off now though, so you can catch up. Like this thing's just sipping fuel right now. 3 gallons per hour.
That can't be real. Planes don't fly for 3 gallons per
Four
hour.
gallons? Yeah, pulling 4 gallons per hour. I mean, I play with the red knob and I see it go up and down.
Oh, I'm saying it. I'm saying that I know Coronado is good, but that can't be that can't be right.
I don't know. I can tell you with the 172, I usually fly at about 6 or 7 gallons per hour. The stock one. And with the Baron, I'm running 2 engines and they're both sucking about 10 per hour when I'm cruising. I mean, I'm way under throttled here. I have my mixture at 24, 25%, and I have the throttle at about 50% to do 112 knots. This thing's just not working to do this speed. Oh, they finally fixed the mixture on the Baron. The Baron now has mixture. That got
It didn't
fixed.
before?
It did. You couldn't adjust the mixture. It was auto mixture all the time, whether you wanted it or not.
Interesting.
And now you can adjust it. That was the fix that broke the frames. Fixed that.
Hmm. All right, I'm at 2,300 feet.
What kind of speed you pulling so I'm not walking away from you?
I'm just coming up to 120 indicated,
Okay, I'm going to drop
which
back
is
a little bit. I was at 115.
crazy.
I'm going to come down to about 110-ish. Yeah, I'm at about 100 and, well, it's dropping a little now, but I'm between 108 and 110.
Yeah,
And
there's no way this is the 215 horsepower version.
no, you're usually zipping right along. You'll have to check with your Bush League guys and see if anybody's reporting it broken.
Yeah.
And we are dead on for the runway at that airport too. So it's got to be a 1-4, 1-4 or 1-5. Just looking at the map, we're dead on for the main runway. Where was I flying the other day and I thought you'd like it? Can't remember. Well, I'll tell you what's pretty. I flew from Bellingham, Washington, and once I got east of the mountains, so it wasn't cloudy all the time anymore, over by a place called Oroville. It's like central western on the northern border of Washington State. Very pretty area. Like mountainous desert type thing. Is that you low and off to my left, or is that AI?
I'm back and to your left, should be. 2,100 feet, slightly lower.
Yeah, that's gotta be you. I see somebody straight behind me too, though. You know what? I'm gonna blip out for a second while I turn on tags because this is driving me crazy.
Okay.
Traffic labels on. Apply. And I'm back. No, that's AI that I'm seeing behind me. Okay. Yeah, you're the one I thought you were. Okay. I tried the working title GPS mods because everybody was raving about them,
Mm-hmm.
and I really liked them, but I was having problems with them right at the same time as the other performance issues, so I pulled them. And I put them back, and I had issue with it would sometimes lose the purple line. The plane would still, if I was using autopilot or whatever, the plane would still follow the line. But if I wasn't using autopilot and wanted to follow it myself, the line would disappear. And I don't know if it was what the deal was. And it was mostly with the G1000 I was seeing that. With the 3000 it didn't seem to do it. But I love the better texturing. Plus in the 182 it allowed me to have synthetic, which I don't normally have. I think I can already see the runway. Straight ahead. I wouldn't think we'd be able to. We're still, how far out are we? 17? Yeah, we shouldn't see the runway this far out. Just kind of can make out the shape of it though. Um, in the Discord for this Class Echo device, one of the guys in there works for Boeing and he works with their simulators. He tests when they make programming changes to the simulators, he does their QA and goes in and tests to make sure that
Yeah.
that he didn't break anything. And he's in Missouri, and it's just interesting that he plays with a simulator all week for work, and then that's what he does as a hobby too. Because like I have no desire to build networks as a hobby.
Oh, hell no.
I, I do it at work, and I built our home network, and it's not a hobby to me. It's, oh crap, I got to deal with this. UPS just dropped a package out front. I'll have to pick it up. That's my new Sonos player. Google opinions. How often do you cook anything? Never. Okay. That was all I needed. Yep, dead on for that runway. I'm looking at it now on a little nav map. Perfectly lined up for it. And we are currently 13 miles out, so another 5 miles I'll start dropping. Do a nice easy descent in here. I've been missing the New Zealand stuff. I can't wait to get back into doing more of that. Or are you moving on now?
I've still got one more leg, and it's going to be a long one.
Okay.
Maybe 2.5 hours of flight.
Okay.
I thought we'd do kind of a grand finale.
Is that tomorrow, or are you going to do it next week?
Yeah, I was holding off until they had fixed this issue, and if they fix this issue, I can go ahead with the flight.
You want to make sure that your plane mod is working right first, though?
I could always do something different. We could always do like the 182s and the Moonies,
Okay.
just to cover the distance a little bit faster.
Whatever. I mean, my cruise is still only like 135. It's no Mooney. But if you're going to go that route, then I might take out the Bonanza.
Yeah.
Because the Bonanza, I can pull 150 all day long. So
I'll look at the airfields involved. If there's some pretty small airfields, then maybe not.
Right. I'm going to start a very slow descent.
I guess this being a more major, what class airspace is this?
Probably B. This is I mean, this is their big international airport, so.
Actually, it says it's class D,
Oh,
but they do have a tower.
yeah.
And we're inside the airspace. It looks like it's 20 nautical miles. Actually, how far away are we?
We're
We're
9.
about, yeah, just inside of 10. So maybe like 15 miles out is where the airspace starts.
I'm just going to drift on in.
So this is Nassau, huh?
Well, the city's over to our at about our 10. The airport is
Yeah,
uh,
I'm looking at
the
the
airport is
map
west of
here.
the town, and then there's, I believe, a town called New Providence or something in between. My friend I was telling you about, whose dad was a helicopter pilot, she grew up here because this is where he was stationed during most of the time. She was like in her teens. She learned to
Hmm.
drive in Nassau
Right.
and then moved back here to Texas. Is that you coming up over me? Oh yeah, you are. You're coming in a little hotter than I am.
Yeah, I'm still up here.
That's because you can drop like a rock. Gosh, I couldn't have planned this line better if I tried as far as lining up for the runway. Completely unintentional. And now you're below me.
I tuned in the ILS,
Oh,
so
did you?
I'm running a simulated ILS. Should
It's
go
usually,
under the hood.
it's usually how I land at these airports. What's the frequency?
110.10. And you're supposed to call me Kenneth.
I'm supposed to call you Kenneth?
Hmm. If you're
Why?
going to ask me what the frequency is.
Oh. As long as we have our clearance.
Roger, Roger. Above the
What's
glide path.
what's the vector, Victor? Yeah, I didn't pick up the glide slope, so I'm just gonna take it in the old-fashioned way. I was too late to grab the glide slope properly. Of course, I have AI traffic on, and we're landing amidst a couple of JetBlue flights, an American flight.
Funny.
That American just got to go around. Ooh, hit a little bump of turbulence there as I came over land.
It's really tough to simulate IFR when it shows me the simulated terrain behind the instrument I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the markings on the runway and everything. It's just like,
Yep.
it's like flying a simulator inside of a simulator.
Well, that's a glitch for sure that just happened.
Is that
See if it happens to you right before you get to the runway, a huge sign appears next to it. And when I say a huge sign, I mean a huge freaking sign. I'm taking a screenshot of this.
like a physical sign or like a
Like a big number 11.
graphical
And I'm talking this is billboard style.
sticking up?
Oh yeah, out of the ground.
Interesting. Is this do you have the stock one or did you
I think I have a
add on?
stock MYNN. Like it was Bizarro Land. Like, this thing is I don't know
So
if you could
like
pop
where
my
the
stream up right now, I'm pointing at it.
uh,
Okay.
so like sticking up where the numbers on the
Like
runway are supposed to be?
no. It's like a sign next to the runway with a huge 11.
Oh,
No,
like a taxiway sign.
here. I'm gonna post it to Discord because you're not gonna fucking believe this. Let me go to screenshots. Screenshots, upload. Like that fucking thing is in the middle of the thing. Do you see it? And it's casting a shadow and everything, so it's legit. I mean, it's as legit as it can be. Are you still landing? Or are you behind me? Did I lose you? Ah, shit, I'm an idiot. I closed Discord by mistake. Did you see that big sign?
I saw the screenshot.
Is that not crazy?
That's insane. I can't, like, what in the game? I know that
I was literally 10 feet from touchdown, and suddenly that thing just appeared, just
yeah.
spawned out of nowhere. Like it'd be one thing if it was there on approach, and I'm like, okay, it's just a scenery glitch, but nope, it just popped out of the ground. In case you're wondering what runway you're about to go to. All right, let's blow this joint. It's nuts. And it's runway 140, so I don't even know what the 11 represents.
Oh, that's funny. I thought it was 11 on my screen.
It shouldn't be based on the heading.
No, I see a 14 there now.
Yeah.
Where are you going off to?
Oh, my fucking thing. Never mind. I was not paying attention. Oh my gosh. And I tried to hit autopilot to correct, and of course it tried
Oh
to.
no.
I just had it try autopilot try to kill me.
I see that. I got your stream up now.
I'm stabilizing. Or trying to. What the hell? All my settings are good. Hasn't tried to
Was
do
it
that to me since that one day we had it both happen.
right? Were you using autopilot before?
Yeah. Use it all
Funny.
day. Let me just let it go for a second and see what it does. Nope, it's gonna fucking
What
kill me.
the heck? It's one
It's
hell of
gonna
a death spiral.
it's gonna fucking kill. I think I'm done. I think it just
Nah,
did.
you can pull out.
I
You can pull out.
yeah, but I was going over speed. I was worried about that.
Yeah. You have crashes turned on?
Yeah, I might have to.
You're
I
just
have
gonna
to.
have to hand fly?
I don't want to hand fly.
Well, you gotta learn how to trim up the aircraft
I know
somehow.
how to do it. I just don't like to. I'm trimmed up good right now. Oh, I know what the issue is. I bet I know where the issue is. Is it there?
Oh, it's way off, yeah. There you go.
So I have my trim neutral right now, and the plane's trying to go in circles. It's trying to flip me over.
What?
Yeah, my trims are all neutralized right now. All right, I'm trimmed up good. I'm higher than I want to be, but that's okay.
Well, I'm about 1,300 feet, starting to go over Nassau proper. This is a pretty big town.
Yeah, it's a good sized city.
Now where are you going?
I'm just trying something. Hold on. I think I fixed it. I think I'm good. I don't know what I did, but I think I fixed it. Yeah, Nassau is a pretty good sized town. Yep, I'm good. Okay. Now I can multitask again. That was freaky. I don't know what the issue was. I'm coming back down to. Well, I probably should stay up, give myself a little bit of altitude as I go over the city, huh?
I'm at about 1,000.
Okay, I'll come down to 15 then, like I was gonna. And I'm at about 100 and. Well, I'm at 120 knots while I descend, but then I'll be at about 110 knots.
Well, you're behind me at this point.
Yeah, I see you. So I'll catch up to you.
I'm doing just shy of 120.
Let me put a little more coal on the fire then. Now I'm burning a whole 5 gallons per hour. You're right, the fuel burn does seem really low on this plane though. I don't know what it should be. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it seems pretty ridiculous.
Itchy nose. You back over the water yet?
Yep. Feet wet. Just went wet.
I'm going to go up to 35 while we're over the water, I think. Because why not? What's your ground speed right now?
It's coming down to about 115 because I'm now doing about 500 feet a minute up.
Okay.
Just coming up through 1,500 feet. Make sure you set your altimeter. I'm at 3019.
That's what I'm at, 3019. I just double checked mine with the infamous B key. That way I don't have to adjust it on 2 instruments. I'm burning 15 now. Does that make you feel better?
That's a huge difference.
And I'm climbing, that's why. Yeah, Nassau is pretty spread out, huh? Pretty good sized town. This is a pretty long leg, I think. I think it loops out and around.
The 182 has a diesel engine.
That would explain why it sounds like a fucking Mack truck.
But does that mean it does not take regular um,
I don't know.
fuel?
Now you got me wondering.
Do you know which
It's
182 it is?
182T.
182T. 4-seat, powered by fuel injected 230 horsepower Lycoming piston engine. Maybe it's not diesel.
I didn't know there was a diesel plane.
As of 2015, is the only variant in production.
The T is?
Yeah, the T version. Air-cooled, six-cylinder, horizontally opposed, fixed-wing.
You can tell it's a horizontal when it idles.
Yeah, the H. Yeah.
Being a Subaru owner, you know what I mean.
Yep.
That gentle rocking back and forth.
Yes. It's a well, and the sound from the
The
exhaust.
sound, yeah, is so different. I remember that with my STI.
Well, and it's as long as you pair it up with is it either equal length or unequal length headers? I can't remember which.
Yeah, I forget. I almost think it was unequal length because it seemed backwards to me. So I'm doing 130 air, 130 indicated, and about 128 ground, and I don't feel like I'm gaining on you. You must have had a hell of a head start on me. Must have been because of my aerobatics show I put on back there. My flight profile in little nav map looks
Oh, yeah.
pretty scary.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it must look like garbage.
It definitely looks interesting, the horizontal or the vertical. Uh-huh. Well, we're flying a 15 knot head here. That's a little bit. Are you at what are you at? 2,500?
I just hit 2,500 and I'm indicating
Okay.
115.
Okay.
And I'm right over this really long little island.
All right. I'm just beginning to go over-ish that Long Island. I mean, I see you. I'm just it's hard to judge distance in the sim sometimes visually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
The perspective isn't quite the same as it would be in real life. Pretty water next to this island.
So I don't exactly have a gallons per hour, but I do have
I'm at 8
a
right now.
range.
I'm at 8 gallons per hour right now.
So cruise speed of 145 knots,
That's in
range
the yellow, but
930.
sure. It goes yellow at 140, at least at this altitude. Of course, different altitudes, it's higher you go, the lower that gets. You're drifting off course, by the way.
I am.
4 gallons per hour right now at 120 knots. Well, just it's dropping. I'll be at about 110 when it equalizes.
Oh, it says cruise 80% power at 7,000 feet is 145.
Okay.
Also, it says at cruise, it's 87 gallons of fuel over a time of 5.8 hours. So that is way more than 10 gallons a minute, or an hour.
It says 87 gallons over how long?
87 gallons over 5.8 hours.
But that's at cruise. That's pushing it. I'm barely I'm barely working this thing right now, right? I mean, if I go up to 7,000 feet and 145 knots, I'm probably in burning about 12 or 13 gallons per hour, maybe 14. But with these flights, I'm just not pushing it that hard. I'm burning 6 right now to do 115 knots. Hey, I got the fuel to burn. Let me put it up to 7,000 and see what we're at.
See if it matches. It
Yeah.
says 14.5 gallons per hour for cruise, probably.
All right. Well, let me climb out. I'm doing about 15. I don't have decimal. I have it to the nearest, and I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
15 right now on climb, full throttle with the mixture at about 68%. I'm maximizing the mixture for power right now, so I have it as rich as it'll get, or rich, yeah, as rich as I can make it.
But that doesn't necessarily give you the best power.
I thought the higher fuel flow did.
No, because you'll actually be sending more fuel into the engine than there is oxygen available.
Well, I'm maximizing the RPMs is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
but
keep
you'll actually increase the RPMs if you give it less fuel.
I
Once
I so
you climb
so
above altitude.
I got it down to about 45% on the mixture, and I'm still pulling 2,400 RPMs. If I go any lower than that, it drops off.
Do you have an EGT on that?
Probably.
Because once you're in a stable configuration, you look for you mess with the mixture until you see the EGT peak, and then once it starts dropping, the EGT starts dropping, you go back to where it peaked. Or there's some little offset you look for, like
I don't.
5% before that or
I can't
something.
find anything labeled EGT. I have manifold pressure. I have oil pressure, oil temp, CHT, and TIT. This thing has breasts apparently.
Well, don't stare at the TIT. On the 172, it's next to the fuel flow gauge.
Yeah, but this is glass.
No. Oh, so on the glass, do you have 4 bars? Or no, you have 6. You have 6 cylinders.
I have 6 cylinders.
Do you have 6 bars showing you like a bar graph showing you the
Oh, I don't know where it would be
exhaust
if I do.
temperatures?
It's not on the standard screen.
Do you have a PFD and an MFD?
Yeah,
Then it'd probably be on the MFD,
yeah, you would
the one to
think.
the right.
I'm looking at the MFD though, and I don't see menu. All I have is map set up. I think the sim's probably lacking in that, because that is something I would expect to be able to find somewhere. I'm at 7,000 feet. So it's saying 80% throttle,
Yeah,
and then
80% throttle, and just trim it level and do the mixture and see what your fuel burn is.
I'm at 143 knots. I guess that's probably about right, right?
That's pretty darn close.
Okay. Fuel burn is 14.
All right.
So our low flying, I'm just burning a lot less. That's all.
Well, I don't. I mean,
Low and slow. I mean, gosh, does the water look gorgeous from up here?
the question is, can the real question is, can you if that's 80% power, and you set it to half of that, which is 40% power, are you burning half the amount of fuel? And also, does the plane still have enough? I mean, would the plane still have enough power to stay in the air and do the same airspeed that you're actually getting?
So I just cut the throttle in half. And I'm dropping down to around 120, it looks like. No, it's still dropping. Fuel flow is now 6.
Okay, how do you chop from 14 to 6? That's a little more than half.
Yeah, I bumped it up a little. I mean, I'm eyeballing it, right?
Right.
So I have 7 now, and I'm maintaining 110 knots at 7,000 feet.
Mhm.
So it feels like it's doing it right to me.
I suppose could also be a case of just because the X Cub is a STOL plane, that it just has a way higher drag coefficient at cruise.
Well, that probably
Because
does make sense.
I'm doing 110 and I can't hardly get it below 10 gallons per hour.
That's with the stock though, not with yours, right?
No, especially with the
Oh,
215
it's a bigger
horsepower
engine.
engine.
It's going to drink more. So yeah. But this is a pretty good size engine in this thing. I think it's a 3 liter or something like that, isn't it?
It is 8.8 liters.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What's the horsepower on it?
Between 230 and 230 and
That's
350. I think
all?
for this one it's 230.
Now I got to look up the Bonanza because the Bonanza's 300 horsepower allegedly.
Yeah, so it's a fuel injected 230 horsepower Lycoming.
Excuse me. Uh,
All right, I'm coming up on North Eleuthera.
yeah, the Bonanza's 300 horsepower. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, I get the model number of the motor here. I don't. I don't know what it actually is. Yeah, I'm dropping now. I'm gonna come down to 1500 as we approach this island. And it looks like our runway would be, I don't know what number that is, but it's the one we're headed straight in toward.
Yeah, with quite a cross. Runway 07.
Yeah. So that's interesting. The Bonanza, some of the engines, some of them are turbocharged and some aren't.
Hmm.
Same horsepower though.
I imagine the turbocharged ones have a much higher ceiling.
Probably the one. I don't know what the one in the sim has. I think the ceiling on that's listed at 18,000.
That
So
would
that's,
definitely be a turbo engine.
yeah,
I don't think naturally aspirated planes can even
can
fly that
drink
high.
that high. Yeah, can they suffocate at that altitude. So this plane has a ceiling of 20,000 according to the Coronado documents.
It is turbocharged and fuel injected.
$6,000 runway. There's a weird light blue square in the middle of the ocean out there to my right. I don't know if it shows up that way on yours or not.
I don't know. I'm pretty low. I'm at down at 1,000 feet.
I'm only at 1,300.
Oh, I see what you mean. Out in the water.
Yeah. Lots of palm trees on this island.
What? There are palm trees in the Caribbean?
Yeah, imagine that. I don't know where you are. I haven't looked back, so
I'm right on your tail.
okay. Not too bad. A little bit of bounce.
Oh God.
What?
This crosswind is trying to flip my plane over.
Oh. Just taxiing?
Yep.
It is a 15 knot.
Mm-hmm.
15 knots out of 128. Did we determine, is this runway 6 or is it runway 7?
7 on my
It
screen.
looks like 7 to me, yeah. It's not, it's one of those ones that's not labeled, so. I find it funny sometimes when you'll find a grass strip and the numbers are painted on it. There were a couple of those when we were doing New Zealand. I'm like, did somebody actually come out here and paint the grass? Oh, all right, I'll wait for you.
No, I can just turn around. I got plenty of runway.
Now, in that case, I'm putting it on. You're probably going to be in the air before I catch up to you. Nope, not quite. Not quite. Yeah, that cross took me as I took off.
Mm-hmm. You got to try to maintain that center line.
Yep. There we go. Nice bank. Bring her level. So the next one's about 20 nautical miles. Oh, bring those throttles back. Oh, hey, Wedge, I just saw you. Sorry, I just happened to pop over and look at chat. Thanks for watching.
What a horrible streamer.
I know. That's the problem with having it on a separate screen that's off to the side. I do now have a screen right next to my big one. I guess I could hook that up, or usually it's hooked up to my laptop. I guess I could hook that up to the PC as a secondary screen and use it for that. I mean, I'm just horrible in general. I don't think you need to specify horrible streamer. Horrible person, horrible everything. There's people driving on the wrong side of the road down there. Oh, I can see the runway flashing ahead to the next one. That one's actually got runway lights.
This is Class D airspace above 1500.
Is it?
It is. I hope you got clearance.
I haven't spoken to Clarence today. Plus, I'm only at 1490, so. Skirting the rules.
Well, from what I can recall, Class D, you don't need clearance to enter Class D, but I do think there are some requirements. You need to communicate. You need to be on frequency.
Well, let's see if the Bahamas sends their Air Force out after us. Which I'm pretty sure their Air Force might be a couple of guys in Cessnas like this, so. I'm on like 3 flight sim related discords now, so when I see a name, I'm like, okay, which discord are they on?
Hmm.
I think the 2 who have visited today are both from the Class Echo group. I know Wedge is. I think Wedge is. That's surprising. If I see them on channel, I know, but when I see their name in out of context, it doesn't connect for me. No, Wedge is on the Sky Park. I like what he does with his name on here, Wedginald.
Oh, yeah. Clever.
Clever. He's just Wedge on there, and I like it. I like it, Wedginald. And of course, he normally flies T-16s through Beggar's Canyon. Back home on Tatooine.
But does he
I,
quad
I,
race?
I'm assuming that's a typo in Google Maps because it shows Hidden Beach up ahead, but Hidden has 3 D's in it. Hidden Beach.
Where's that?
We're about to go by it. Hidden
Yeah, but
Beach.
you're out of sight.
Am I?
Yeah.
I see you back there.
All I see is your name.
I can make out the shape of your plane, kind of, sort of.
I can if I zoom in.
All right, I'll
You're
drop
you're like
down. I
a
was only doing
you're like a
115.
I must be catching up then.
I'm down to 105 now, so.
Governor's Harbor on here twice.
Maybe they had 2 governors. I'm going by Hidden Beach right now. And I see a beach, so it isn't very well hidden.
Well, it's hidden from open maps, open street maps,
Is it?
because there's nothing there. This is
Hidden.
Rainbow Bay. Apparently, I caught up with you.
Yep, you did. You're right over Hidden Beach right now. It's on the east side of the island right there.
Oh, the east side.
East side.
Yep, there it is. HIDDEN.
Maybe that's legit the way they spelled it then. Maybe it has some other meaning.
It's not on open top of the street map.
Oh, you're saying I have governors twice in my flight plan, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I noticed that. I must have got happy doing copy pastas. All right, I need to come a little bit to the.
Yeah, I'm gonna more hug the coastline because that's how we're gonna
Yeah, it
line
looks
up
like
with
it'll
the.
line right up to the runway if I do that. So I'm coming over. Down at about 1,000.
Yep.
Looks pretty cool from here. You sliding over the beach there. If you follow the Queens Highway, that takes you right there.
Mm-hmm. Only the queen can use it though.
Yeah.
Everyone else has to walk.
Speaking of Queens, I watched Coming to America again last week, and then I watched the sequel to it that they just did. And of course,
Oh yeah.
he goes to Queens. He goes to Queens, New York. So
Yeah, to
that's
find a queen.
to find the Queen, right? The sequel was actually pretty good. I was 30 years between them. I was like, but it was good. And I had forgot that in the original Coming to America, they did a play on the movie Trading Places because the Duke brothers, which are the two old men from Trading Places, are bums in the original Coming to America, and he hands them a bunch of
Right.
money. Well,
If you do a cameo.
in the sequel, their grandson or great nephew is running Mortimer Industries, and because they rebuilt their business after losing it. So I thought that was neat that they played on that.
It's funny.
The second one was certainly a lot cleaner, but I think because Eddie Murphy's not quite as raunchy as he used to be,
It's raw.
as raw, but still extremely good, really good. Pretty much all of the original cast, um, even James Earl Jones made it back for it, and Arsenio Hall.
As the king.
Yeah,
Real
and what
choppy here.
and Wesley Snipes gets a significant part in it. Yeah, I noticed that chop.
Mind the displaced threshold.
What's that?
You're not supposed to land on the displaced threshold, the part with
Oh
the
yeah,
arrows.
yeah,
You got
yeah,
to go up to the crosswalk looking thing.
yep.
All right, forward slip for crosswind.
Yeah, don't look up.
Yeah, I think you just brushed your tail wheel on my canopy.
On your canopy. Yeah, I knew I was close. Oh,
All right, I'm just gonna stop and take off from here.
yeah. Well, actually, I could probably do it from here too. Let me just make sure my trims aren't all effed up from landing. Wedge, no, that's Dusty. He flies with me on with the flight lounge, which is another Discord server that I'm part of.
Hello, Wedge. Wedginald.
And hey, Bill, or Uncle 8 That's right, Louis Anderson was in that too, in both of them. Like I say, they did really good at bringing all the original cast back, which 30 years later is pretty surprising. You know, it's that they did that well doing that.
How surprising they're all still alive.
Well, the one that I had questioned was James Earl Jones because something in the back of my head I thought he died a couple years ago, but he isn't. He's still alive. But the second one was really good. I was really surprised that it did a good job of kind of honoring the first one. And let me cut my throttles back so I'm not leaving you in the dust here. Also get my altitude up a little bit more. Um, but they did a really good job of it. It was really good. It was funny. It built on the previous one perfectly. Really, really good. And the new faces they added were good, and it just fit. It just was. They even made a joke in the movie about oh, people are tacky. Sometimes they do a sequel to a movie that nobody's watched in 30 years or something like that, which I thought was a yeah. Again, I like it when people border to breaking
Self-referential.
that fourth wall type thing.
Yep. All right, I got the autopilot set. I'm gonna get something to drink and a snack. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, guys, just so you know, we do group flights on the Flight Lounge, which again is another Discord server. I can send you an invite if you DM me. Um, it's another Discord server that does a lot of MSFS stuff, and Dusty and I both do group flights there regularly. I do one almost every Saturday afternoon, and he does one almost every Sunday afternoon, and just different types of tours. Small GA planes is what we do. Um, I've been doing this Bahamas series. We came down the East Coast. We did a little tour in New England, came all the way down the East Coast of the U.S., and then jumped out to the Bahamas. And he has been doing New Zealand, which has been a lot of fun. New Zealand is beautiful. It's pretty good in the sim. I would say they did a decent job with it, and he does has a lot of fun with it. He likes nice little airports and little tiny runways, bush type stuff. So I use the 182, which I can get in and out of pretty much anywhere we need to. Um, and Dusty's more of a seat of the pants flyer, where I'm more of a if the aids are there, I use them. Like I do use autopilot a lot, things like that. Um, but it makes for fun. Makes for a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. So the New Zealand stuff has been fun. I think he said he's got one more, and then he's going to branch off to something else. And I have a feeling we're going to get to see some of the uh, some of the Rockies and Alaska with his next plans, but I don't know yet. It adds a lot to the game to me to be able to fly with somebody and talk to them. And we've had flights before with as many as 4 or 5 people, so it can be a lot of fun. We try to use planes that are, relatively comparable in some way, and that way nobody's leaving anybody behind regularly. Um, and I mean, this flight's been going for almost 2 hours now, and I feel like we just started. We've got probably another, I'm going to say we had 2 more landings, but the last 2 are really close. So we probably have another 20 minutes maybe, and then we're done for today. Uh, we have not had any trouble with disconnections, knock on wood, but we didn't play for the couple weeks with the issues that the game was having, performance issues. As soon as that hit, we stopped our group flights until today. So this is the first time in like 3 weeks that we've had one. And my wife works Saturdays, so it's perfect for me to do this Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday afternoons, I have other obligations some Sundays, but the Sundays I don't. This is what we do. Or Dusty still does without me sometimes because other people join and he has fun doing it. And he streams his. He's Dusty923 on Twitch, so he streams his on his Sunday flights, and I stream mine on my Saturday flights. Oh, I'm perfectly happy if he or others wanted to stream it as well. I love people being able to see different perspectives. I guess chat-wise, it's probably easiest if everybody stays in one. Confused Dad used to fly with us sometimes. He's on the Sky Park server, but he's 8 hours ahead of me, so it's 11 o'clock at night for him there right now. So I think the timing just wasn't working for him because we fly times that work for U.S. times, really. So Wedge, one of the other things we've talked about is having a big fly-in where we pick an airport. Probably, well, we're thinking Oshkosh might be the one just because it is a big fly-in every year anyway in real life. And we were thinking about setting up a group fly-in where everybody meets up, maybe along the way and does part of the flight together, and we all meet there, maybe do some stuff together in that area, and then fly our separate ways. And if we did that, I would fly from my home airport to there, like legit in one plane, even if it took me two or three legs, because I don't normally do really long flights. And I think that would be a lot of fun just to have a bunch of people show up, because Oshkosh can handle a variety of planes too. We could have everything from corporates down to some small airports. So my home airport would probably be DFW, but for smaller planes, I tend to either use KTKI, which is McKinney, or I might even do Meacham, which is KFTW, which is actually the closer to me. But DFW would be if I said I wanted to pick. Yeah, if I wanted to pick the airport that's physically closest to my house, it's definitely DFW. I'm probably 6 miles as a crow flies from that airport. I used to live about a mile from it, but it's not a fun airport to fly in and out of in a small plane. I mean, it's not great for that. It's too big and busy. So I would pick something else. I might even do Alliance Field, which is KAFW, I think. Of course, I did get the DFW add-on scenery, so I have it, the enhanced DFW. And then of course they added it to the sim anyway, so I don't know whether what they added is better than what I got or not.
Even the handcrafted stock ones are not as good as a good aftermarket one.
That's kind of what I think. Yeah. So that's interesting you say that, Wedge. There is a park on the north end of DFW. It's right next to the UPS terminal, like like almost throw a rock and hit it distance, and near runways 18L and 18R, really close to 18R. So if you look at a DFW map, you can see it. If you were to draw a line at heading 315 from there for maybe like 200 yards from 18R, there's a park there that you can go to and sit and watch that side of the airport. And it's kind of cool because they have loudspeakers, and on the loudspeakers they play a tower. So you can sit there and listen to the tower and watch the planes come and go. Very good place to go and chill, and I do that sometimes. I'll go there and I'll bring a book and then not even end up reading it because I'm watching the airplanes instead. And I got an app on my phone now. I'd have to look it up, but it's an app that lets me tune into the different tower frequencies, so I can do that and put it through the Bluetooth in my car, so I don't have to sit outside and listen. Well, I mean, I do sit outside anyway, but I don't have to listen to their loudspeakers. I get it better through either headset or if I'm in the car, I can open the windows and roof and still have it playing, or listen to the other frequencies, the approach and departures and stuff. But it's pretty fun when you're that close and the planes are landing and taking off. My wife in 2015 went to Zambia, and she had a nonstop on an A380 from DFW to Dubai. And on her return flight, I tracked it using FlightAware, and I went to the park and watched that sucker land. It landed on 18 right, and
Nice.
it was so close. That plane is so fucking huge. It looks like it's just barely moving going through the air, even though the sucker's doing like 180 knots when it lands. Um, but it looks like it's just barely floating through the air. That is kind of cool to watch. I got pictures, and I think I even took video of her plane landing, the one she was actually on. 525 passengers on that plane, and the crew coming off. I bet there were 15 or 18 flight attendants on that plane.
Crazy.
Yeah, so because when it landed, I'm sitting in the terminal waiting for her to come out, and just this train of flight attendants coming off before any of the passengers. All right, we're getting closer to my MYER. And it looks like we'll have a headwind if we land runway 090.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a good one. Dusty got ahead of me a little bit there. I saw your plane going by on the right as you were off getting a snack.
I got it pegged to the firewall, and I'm still only doing 121.
Well, I was only doing like 115, so that's why you went by me. I was too busy yakking to be paying attention. I think it's the next one I do where we'll actually go to the airport I've been to in the Bahamas. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, which is Georgetown. MYEG. Great Exuma. All right, so where is this one? Where's the Meridian? There's the Meridian Highway. Okay. So it's at the top of this bay, right?
Yep.
You got to be pretty close to it now.
I'm just entering left base right now.
Okay. I'm feeling that cross as I come down. I mean, it's not cross for runway, it's cross for me right now.
Yeah, that crabbing.
Yeah. 16 knots to the side, that'll do it. It's crazy though. Sometimes I'll be in the longitude and I'll be up at like, 34,000 and I'm flying into 120 knot headwind. Or I've got a 90 knot crosswind or something like that. And I like take the outside view and the plane's just going sideways through the air.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this damn pillar in this plane really annoys me.
Turning final.
As am I, but I'm taking a longer final than you do.
There are trees on the glide slope.
Shouldn't
Hey,
there
guys.
be?
Is that Blues?
Yep.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
How long are you guys going to be flying for?
like we're literally
We have
like another 10 minutes.
we're on our last,
So,
so we're landing before our
Second to
last
last
segment, which
landing.
is 9 miles.
yeah, I thought so. I just got home from flight stuff.
Well, and I just
Oh, cool.
realized that when I posted the original thing, I forgot about daylight savings. So I posted at 1900. It should have been 1800.
Yeah, I was planning for 3 Eastern.
Yeah, which you would have got us halfway through, which would have been great.
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah, you're right.
But
There's planes right here on the trees right here at the end of the runway. Isn't that nice?
yep. But Blues, if you're up for some flying, I'll fly with you.
Yeah, I'll hop on. I'll set everything up and jump on.
I can do that. I won't stream it probably anymore, but if you can tell me where you're
Yeah.
gonna fly, I'll probably join in for a while.
We can fly anywhere. I'm just looking to fly some time on the sim.
What I'm looking to do with you is some more legit flying, because that's what you're into, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm working up towards. But maybe do some non-towered to non-towered airports, and we'll just role play our calls, our calls and stuff.
All right.
At least you and I. I don't know if Perry's into that. Perry, are you into some role play with two other guys?
I might try it. I mean, hey, I'm pretty open.
I'll probably pull a VAT sim and mess with that.
Yeah, I'm not going that far.
It-
You go VAT sim, you lose me there. So
It's been a while since I've been on VATSIM.
I'll probably mess around on VAT sim and just fly with you guys. I don't need to, but I just want to.
oh, it's good to have the practice and
Yeah.
doing things right.
Yeah, well, I was gonna get my spin training done today, but the ceiling dropped down to 3,500, so obviously you can't do a spinning maneuver at 3,500 down to the ground
No.
and stay safe. So we went ahead and called it off
Chicken.
while we were flying.
Chicken.
I don't know. He had a story about some guy doing that through the clouds. He's
Through
been
the
flying
clouds.
for 50 years, or I think about 40 years, and he's heard of one guy taking his Citabria and doing a spin maneuver through the clouds to get out of them.
Dusty, I'm up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and set everything up. I'll be right back.
It looks like a hospital or something I'm going over right now. Oh, it's the airport. Huh. That's a pretty big building for such a little airport.
It says Rock Sound International.
Yeah, but wait till you see Great Exuma. That's an international, and the airport it looks like your house.
Mhm.
Like the customs building literally looks like a house, and you go in and there's a guy sitting behind a desk. There's no
Well,
your
it could be
luggage,
internet.
your baggage is just sitting over in the corner waiting for you.
Could be set up for international, but it's also, depends on how much traffic they got.
Yep. I think they get like 1 or 2 flights a day, and that's it. When we were leaving, we went in to check in at the airport, and you check in at the counter, which again was pretty informal. And we're like, so is there any kind of lounge or anywhere to wait? And they're like, yeah, across the street. You go over, there's a lounge over there. You can get something to eat or drink. You get like an hour. So we do that, and I'm all nervous we're going to miss our flight or something, right? And they're like, no, we'll yell across or we'll send somebody over to get you. So then we come back, and this guy comes walking in from the tarmac. He's been fueling the plane and loading the luggage. He's in a coverall, covered in grease and stuff. He goes, are you waiting to board? We're like, well, we haven't been through security yet. Oh, yeah, come on in. He waves us into this. This guy waves us into security. No shoes, no nothing. Walk through the metal detector. Good to go.
Right.
like super casual. Kind of refreshing actually, because then the next step from there was Atlanta when we came back, and that was where we had to do customs coming back. So that was
Right.
not. That was
That was not low key.
It was not low key. No, it was the pain in the ass. Which, to a certain degree, customs kind of should be a pain in the butt, but
Yep.
it was certainly a much different experience than the Bahamas. It was just so funny watching. We're literally watching the guy prepping the plane. I think he was even the guy fueling it, and then he comes walking into the terminal building, and he's like, "Are you waiting to go to the lounge?" We're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, well, there's a room back there with some chairs." He's here. You just got to come through the metal detector. And I'm like, "Do I need my shoes off?" He goes, "Oh no, just don't make sure you don't have any metal in your pockets."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you get to the waiting area, and it literally was like a room with folding chairs in it. And then they had a gift shop, which was like a little mall kiosk type thing. And that was it. That was security. And customs coming in was pretty much, yeah, we don't care. Just stamp your passport. Go ahead. You're bringing a lot of money to our little island nation.
Right.
The scary part was when we went, because we did an excursion. So it was this little bus that drove us to town. Because we were at a resort, so we were at an all-inclusive. So we did an excursion from the all-inclusive, and the guy driving the bus was fucking crazy. And of course, the bus is set up for American driving, so it's got the steering wheel on the side we have it on, meaning
Yeah.
he's driving with his face in the gutter. The roads are barely wide enough to fit the bus, never mind oncoming traffic. An oncoming car would come, he'd pull into the gutter. And it was just like, oh my gosh, what an experience. I'm trying to figure out where the runway is here.
It's you're looking at it,
I was afraid of that.
but it's on the other side of the land.
Oh, that's why I'm not seeing it.
It's
like
towards
in the middle. Yeah, okay.
it's towards
okay.
the southern coast.
Okay.
I'm entering left hand downwind.
All right.
Or setting up to, anyways.
I'm turning my plane toward the runway. I'm, I believe, what you'd call crosswind right now. It's angry.
No, you're entering left base.
Left base. Okay, good. I didn't want the wind to be angry with me.
Crosswind is on the
takeoff.
upwind. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
at the takeoff end.
It's base is on your just before final, and crosswind is going to be right before your downwind, right after takeoff.
Got it. Okay.
It can also be used as a crossing over midfield crosswind.
That's where I've done it in the past. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so they know what direction you're going in.
I got to see what this package is that came before I can commit to whether I'm going to be on or not, because it may be the thing I need to set up.
Okay, Perry, you go check your package.
I got to check my package before I get into a three-way with you guys. And I just said this on
all off
stream.
screen.
So to be clear, it's an off-screen three-way flying airplanes in flight simulator.
Yeah.
No monkey business.
Yeah, we're switching over to our OnlyFans. Right, I'm going left base.
I'm
number
on
2
final
for landing. Entering final behind this crazy 182 pilot.
You said it. Oh, this one has some nice big trees right at the end of the runway too, by the way. Must be a Bahama thing.
I was flying in a Citabria Thursday, and it's an aerobatic plane. It's a high wing aerobatic plane.
Right.
And
you have to do that for
let me
this
tell you something.
for these spin maneuvers, right?
Yes, I have to use it, and I can't solo until I do a spin maneuver. It's not a legal thing; it's a club requirement.
Got it.
Interesting.
Yeah, they don't want us to kill ourselves. Imagine that, you know.
Well, I think they probably don't want you to break the plane.
And
secondarily,
I
they
think,
don't want you to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Killing yourself is what they're telling you to make you feel better about it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
They really don't want you to break the airplane.
And also for insurance reasons, don't kill yourself.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Or break the airplane.
Yeah, they're spending $30,000 on our other plane right now because there's rust in the engine, so they don't have money to spare. So yeah, that probably was a surprise to the people that flew it.
They'll just up your dues next year to make up for that. So
I'm not paying a single thing except for gas.
Somebody is.
Just feed
donors.
A bunch of acai berries for antioxidants.
All right, for those watching my stream, this will be the end of the stream. It got nice and friendly at the end there. Everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I just got here, but goodbye.
Everybody be safe out there. Bye.